Channel 9 News. My name is Joshua Aguilar.
And I'm Elena Porter.
Looking at the incident that sparked major debate and controversy across the country, the Ferguson case has gained major publicity in the eyes of the nation.
The story unraveled the morning of August the 9th in Ferguson, Missouri. A local, Dorian Johnson, headed out in search of a cigarillo and spotted 18-year-old Michael Brown on the walkway. The two men only knew each other through a few common friends. Johnson, being 22, had already experienced college, and the two talked about the future. Minutes later, Brown and Johnson walked into the convenience store at the corner of Florissant and Ferguson Avenue. Brown went up to the counter and asked for Swisher Sweets, which were popular for making blunts. He paid for one box, but reached across the counter for another. Brown, after stealing the pack, tried to leave while the clerk intercepted him. Brown then shoved him and left the store as a clerk threatened to call the police.
Officer Darren Wilson, who had been on call at the time of the crime, returned to his car and heard a dispatch reporting of the robbery and the attire of the robbers. Wilson wired fellow officers asking if they needed any help. He received no reply, but as he drove down Canfield towards Florissant, he spotted two males walking in the middle of the road. Johnson agrees that is how it all started. But this is where accounts began to diverge. At that point, Wilson commented about the men walking on the road. No one has yet deciphered the exact conversation that was held. Exactly what happened next is hard to discern. But Brown and Wilson began tussling in the car. Brown is reported to have punched Wilson in the face, and Wilson drew a semi-automatic pistol. Wilson fired a bullet in Brown's hand. Johnson took off running and found shelter behind a car. Brown ran not too far behind as the police officer exited his car.
The following chain of events is uncertain. Witness stories vary, but from Brown's injuries, we know that he must have turned to face the officer at some point. By all accounts, the chase was brief. 12 discharged cartridges lay scattered across the scene. After the grand jury decided to not indict Officer Darren Wilson, major protests in cities such as Ferguson, Missouri, Los Angeles, California, and Portland, Oregon erupted. Some were peaceful marches, while in others people flooded the streets yelling and chanting. They burned police cars and buildings and threw bottles and rocks at the officers. As this issue continues, Brown's family only asks that you support them in a positive way that will make a change for the better. As we uncover more clues of this tragic incident, we only hope Michael's family is able to find closure in this rough time. This is Elena Porter. Now let's head over to the recent news about our climate.
Hi, my name is Madison Osmolowski and I'm here with Channel 9 News. Our topic today is the current situation with climate change. Animal extinctions from climate change rival the end of the dinosaurs. Current extinction rates are at least 12 times faster than normal. Current trajectory puts humanity on a course for a warming of at least 3.7 degrees Celsius, the UN estimates. That's quicker than the shift in the climate when the last ice age ended about 10,000 years ago. Warmer temperatures are having a perverse impact on some animals. Grizzly bears and red foxes move north and come in contact with polar bears and Arctic foxes. The Arctic fox is now in decline because red foxes are more aggressive. Grizzly bears and polar bears sometimes mate, and that produces offspring with neither camouflage for the snow nor the ability to hunt in the woods. The number of animals in the wild has about halved in the past 40 years, mainly because humans have moved into habitats, competing for space and water supplies. The impact isn't confined to land. The good news is that species can be brought back from the brink. In the UK, red kites, a bird of prey, has gone from almost extinct in the wild to about 2,000 breeding pairs because of a successful reintroduction program. To enlighten us on the current situation with climate change, we have environmentalist Miss Elizabeth Blake. Hello, Elizabeth. I have a few questions to ask you today. What will happen if the current extinction rates continue?
If that rate continues unchanged, the Earth's sixth mass extinction is a certainty. Within about 200 to 300 years, 3 out of every 4 species we're familiar with would be gone.
What can we do to prevent this?
If we could bring together the political will, the business pressure, and reduce our personal footprints, we can move toward a place where these declines aren't inevitable. We still have a chance to save almost all the species. It's not too late, but the window of opportunity is closing fast.
What would happen if we didn't have climate change?
We would have an extinction crisis without climate change simply through how we use land and water and population growth. But now you add to that this global force of climate change, and that changes relationships between species and ecosystems in unpredictable ways.
Thank you for talking with us today, Elizabeth. And now back to the climate change segment. Humans can, in the short term, clamp down on poaching an invasive species, reduce overharvesting, and expand marine and land preserves where species can recover. Longer term, human consumption needs to become more sustainable and carbon output reduced. From everyone here at Channel 9 News, this is Madison Osmolowski, and have a great night.